Have you ever bought a boat thinking it just needed a little bit of work? Yeah, same. I picked up this boat on January 9th, 2026, and what I thought would be a few small fixes turned into months of troubleshooting, repairs, and upgrades. And honestly, it fought me every step of the way. When I first got this Carolina Skiff 19 with the Johnson 60 horsepower EFI outboard motor, it looked pretty solid on the surface. But it didn't take long to realize that it definitely had some issues. I started this process not really knowing anything about outboards. I grew up near the river in Oregon, and we did a lot of activities on the water, but it was all drift boats and fishing and some whitewater rafting. Nothing to do with outboards and boats like this. One of my goals when we moved to Florida was to get a boat, be able to get out on the water, and just enjoy all the beautiful outdoor water activities that are here in Southwest Florida. But today, I want to show you everything I fixed, what went wrong along the way, and how we transformed this really oversized lawn ornament.
A water-ready, turnkey, reliable boat! Woo!
There are several problems we ran into so far while owning this boat, and my goal today is to take you on a journey through the highs and the lows of owning this boat so far. One of the first problems we ran into was I found that there was gear oil leaking out of the water intake on the lower unit. And I noticed out of the water intake down here, let me flip you around, we had a little oil draining out. You can kind of see there a little bit. And from reading, doing some research, that is a pretty big issue. So then the work of draining the lower unit oil, or mostly water in this case. Got some water coming out of there, that's never a good thing. There we go. So definitely some water intrusion. Once that was drained, we could move on to removing the lower unit. Now keep in mind, I'm just showing quick clips here today of all this work that I've done. So if you want to check out the full videos, I'll leave links to those as we go through the video. Make sure to check those out if you want more detailed look of the whole video to get the full picture. Just like that. Sweet. Kind of some good news, bad news, I guess. Let me take you inside and show you what we're looking at. Once we got the lower unit off and on the workbench, we ran into yet another problem. This piece I was taking off broke a bolt here. It's just super corroded and stuck in there. And I think the worst of it is over here. I couldn't even get this to budge. I tried all the stuff, watched the videos. This thing is fused on there. Just the corrosion just deep down inside. And even like all of the seal that this piece creates, just felt like it couldn't be trusted moving forward. So I decided to, here's the good news, bad news, I guess. The bad news being that lower unit maybe has seen its last days. Good news, I did come across one that looked really good. It was a freshwater only unit, super clean. I shot the guy an offer on eBay and he ended up accepting it. So that got here today. So we're gonna unbox that, take a peek at it. All right, so here she is on the table. I'm gonna go ahead and take off this housing here. So it doesn't look terrible. I do have the new impeller and seals and everything. We'll see what the seal underneath the plate looks like. It should come off now. There we go. You can see, I'll give you a closer look here. You can see just how much cleaner this unit is. I'll go give you the view of the other one again. So there's this look of a nice, well-maintained unit, or there's this look of something that's been neglected, saltwater intrusion, just things over the time that have really wore away at this. So pretty stoked to get my hands on this unit and get it added to our boat. I went ahead and installed the new water pump on the new lower unit. All right, water pump installed. And then she was ready to be put on our boat. This process was a bit of a struggle. Having never done this before, I just didn't know how close I was to having it put on correctly the first time. Right here, I should have just bolted it on, but it didn't seem like it was all the way flush, but it was. But regardless, we got it there eventually. All right, well, after a little bit of doing, took me a lot longer than expected. My wife helped out a little bit. Getting that lower unit to sit in there, extra pair of hands was very helpful. We got it on there. I didn't get it on camera, unfortunately, but I'll show you guys what we're looking at here. We got the lower unit back installed, the new one. Next, it was time to put fresh gear oil in the lower unit and see if she would fire up. Definitely full. All right, we got our water on. Get this thing fired up. This was when I first realized that we had some starting issues on this boat. Well, unfortunately, I think it's the battery. We haven't ran this thing in a while since it's been sitting here, and I think the battery, it's showing that it had 12.1 right when I started, and now after trying it a couple times, we're down to like 10.7. So might need to look at getting a little jump on the battery here. What's up, everybody? What a day, my goodness. So I started at about, I don't know, 9 o'clock this morning. Was just gonna come out, get the oil done. I can't remember what else I did. Oh, put the prop back on, do the oil, the lower unit, fire up. Hopefully it was all gonna be good to go, as you remember. But it is now 6 p.m. and I've been tinkering with this all day. We found out the battery was ultimately bad after I went and got a charger or a jump starter thing. So I wanted to show you guys kind of what we're looking at as far as the status here. I had to take some stuff apart. I had to remove the bimini. I had to remove this back piece here. You just see the mess I made. There's tools, screws everywhere. The battery box that they had in here before was underneath of this, tucked back where you couldn't lift the battery out and get it out. Super annoying. And one of the things I was wanting to do anyway is relocate the battery up under here. Look at all that real estate. So I was gonna move the battery up into the center console, but this old switch, I'm gonna reuse it, but the negative line that goes all the way back to the motor was not quite long enough. I needed like an extra 2 feet. That connects up in here. If you can get an angle right here. So you have to remove the air silencer to get to that effectively. So had to move the platform, had to move the bimini, had to take apart this janky little thing they had sitting as a support. So here I decided to make a new panel for the battery switch to attach directly to the battery box. Bingo, baby. Since I decided to move the battery, I needed to get some longer battery cable to make it work. Also had to rewire the bilge pump so that it could reach the new battery location. Rewiring the battery was pretty straightforward, just needed to add the new cables and mount the switch to the battery box. All right, I like it. All right, folks, we got some good stuff accomplished. Finished up the battery reinstall. Got the wiring done. I turned it on real quick, and it is reading 12.8 volts, I think it said, so that's cool. We got the right juice. I gotta clean up. It's getting real chilly and windy out here. We'll come out tomorrow and give it an old fire up, get the fresh water hooked up to it, and see if we can't get it running. And then the next couple days, we'll have to get it out on the water. So stay tuned. All right, so I know I said I was gonna test this tomorrow, but I can't wait. I'm too excited to see if it works. Hopefully, I'm hoping, praying that it'll fire up with this new setup. Hopefully she starts right up. I don't know, cross your fingers. We'll see what happens. Well, back to the drawing board, I guess. Dang, really hoping that was gonna work. We did it! I'm so stoked. I gave it a second, let it breathe. Was kind of frustrated, obviously. Came back and tried again. It wanted to start, and then it didn't start. Gave it another little break. Started it up, it ran, but there was no water pumping out of the telltale. So I had to shut it off, and just to not damage anything. And then I went and just cleaned out the little telltale, fired it up again, and she's working. I'm stoked. We got the new battery, engine's running. Just gonna let that run for a little bit. Make sure it's all good to go, but hey, I couldn't be happier right now. I'm pretty stoked. Glad it's working. Hopefully it will continue to work for a long time, but we'll see. I wanted to catch you up kind of where we left off last time. We had just finished installing that lower unit, the new one we got to replace that old corroded one. Got the oil in there, got everything buttoned up, then had to replace the battery. That was a whole nother issue. Got that all dialed in, and then it still wouldn't start. I was pretty frustrated, bummed, but I stuck with it, and later that evening I was able to get it running, which was awesome. I was stoked. As you maybe saw in that last video, was a big success for me. So got the engine running, it was awesome. Wanted to kind of spend the next video like a little maiden voyage, if you will, take it out on the water and see how she ran. But unfortunately, things changed a little bit. My parents were able to come visit, which was awesome. We had such a good time, and we actually got to take the boat out. I didn't get a bunch of good footage of us kind of taking that maiden voyage, if you will, so soon I'll take you out. We'll get you on the water. You can see how this boat works. It was a blast though. We had fun. We did have a little hiccup, if you will. So I got it running in that last video, and then a couple days later is when we tried to go out with my parents, and we got to the boat ramp, put her in the water, tried to start, and I couldn't get it started.
How much do you love your boat right now?
So much.
Well, I guess we can fish from right here.
Yeah, let's get this thing back on the trailer.
Yeah. Well.
Mama! It was frustrating for sure, but we tried, let it sit for a while, tried again, couldn't get her running, so we decided just to trailer it, go back home, and kind of just go fishing for the day from the bank. We had fun, didn't catch anything that day, but it was still fun to hang and fish with my pops. And anyway, so then later that day, my dad and I kind of came out and started tinkering with the boat, and we discovered that it's really just a cold start issue with this, which I hear is pretty common with these old Johnson motors. So we figured out kind of what the issue was. We diagnosed some fuel stuff and spark plugs, kind of looking through things, and it's really just a hard cold start. So once we got it running in the yard here, it'll fire back up with ease every time. So we decided that it was really just a cold start issue, and we're going to go out the next day again to launch the boat and go fishing and have a good time. Next day came. We decided to try to start it here at the house first before going through the trouble of going down to the boat ramp, and we got it running eventually. It did take us a good 45 minutes to get that cold start to happen again. So I'm going to keep kind of diagnosing that and seeing how I can make that an easier process.
Is that vibrating? What's that little plastic? It's not annoying, huh?
Nope, not at all.
And today my plan is to tackle the fuel water separator. Looks like it hasn't been changed in a while. Going to take that apart and get that replaced, get the parts we need. And then also I have some new anodes that came in the mail. Wait till you see these old ones that are on this engine. Pretty gnarly. So I went ahead and tackled the fuel water separator. Not a complicated job, but I'm definitely still learning the best way to do these jobs without making a huge mess. All right, I disconnected the fuel line from the gas tank. Guess I should have done that first. It was just pouring out of the gas tank. So let me get this gas cleaned up and we'll be right back. Pretty bad. All right, we got it. Let me take you up top here and show you kind of the difference. Pretty corroded, and it looks like it was painted over. But I don't know, that could just be the the corrosion that's on there. Intact, pretty simple job really, just need to make sure it gets nice and cleaned up like we did. Just kind of get that one on there. A little hand tight. Yeah. All right, first new anode is on. Much better. So let's go ahead and get this taken off. This cover might be tough to get off here. All right, so I was able to tap it with a little rubber mallet just right here and got it loose. Yeah, and check out that anode in there. That's pretty bad. The bolt that's there that I need to get to. I'm just kind of scraping away here, trying to access that bolt so I can see if this will come apart. I'll check back in if I get progress here where I can do something with this. All right, so I've been hacking away at this for like probably 15 minutes, trying to get this nut exposed, this bolt exposed. I got a little bit of it exposed. I'm gonna try to throw some vice grips on there or pliers and see if I can't get it to budge. I'm afraid that it's probably gonna break that bolt, but I'm hoping not. I don't want to. Let this kind of soak in a little bit. See if I can't get that bolt to come loose. All right, this is what we're currently looking at. Sprayed it again with some of the PB blaster. Try to get some movement here, and I used a little hacksaw to kind of cut away a little more. Gonna hit it with the impact drill. Little cobalt impact. See if we get any movement. And it just broke off. All right, well, back to the drawing board. All right, so I hit it with some more of the penetrating grease and WD-40. After breaking that bolt head off, a little discouraged, but I got some channel locks and it looks like I'm getting some movement now, which is good. Looks like this might actually come out now. Fingers crossed.
Eventually, I got a new bolt and was able to replace that anode as well.
We got it. Check it out.
I decided to flush the old hydraulic steering fluid and do a fresh refill and purge on the system. This wasn't necessarily a problem, but a good maintenance update for sure. All right, so you can kind of see this is the new oil. The color of it's like a kind of a light yellow, clearish yellow color. And then the oil we pulled out is this dark, kind of sweet tea, dark brown looking oil. Definitely dirtier than the new stuff we just put in. So should be progress for sure. So this is when I really started to hone in on our cold start issues. I was suspecting that it was a fuel related issue, but I figured we might as well replace the spark plugs first, since that's a pretty easy fix and cheap, and then we'd go from there. Let me get some water back on this thing, just give it a turn over and see if she responds any different with the new spark plugs. All right, well, definitely no different, same symptoms, which is what I thought would happen, but you never know. Just wanted to check that first, since that's a pretty easy, cheap fix. Make sure before we start chasing other fuel issues. So on to the next thing. Now that our assumption had been confirmed that it's definitely a fuel issue, it was time to move on to the fuel injectors. And keep in mind, I've never done anything like this before, so if I can do it, you could do it too. Went ahead and removed all the fuel injectors and found them to be pretty dirty and gummed up. I was hopeful at that time that cleaning these might help our cold start issues. This little contraption was something that I found on YouTube for a DIY way to clean your fuel injectors. It worked pretty well. Obviously doing some kind of ultrasonic cleaning would have been best, but we like to do things a little more DIY than that. And here goes nothing. Round 3. Looks like that. Let's give her a little scrub down and see how she looks afterwards, huh? All right, number 4, definitely a lot cleaner. Today, removing the VST, cleaning, replacing filters. There's an inline filter and there's a filter for the fuel pump in there. So we're gonna take that all apart, clean it, and replace those things as needed, and hopefully fix our cold start issues for good. Next on the chopping block was to remove the VST, clean it, and replace the filter on the high pressure fuel pump. I was pretty nervous to do this job since I don't have a mechanical background, but I'm glad that I did it. My confidence really increased after successfully completing this job. There are many steps to go through in order to even get to the VST on this motor. Lots to remove, and you have to remove the whole intake manifold, which I was nervous about. Check out the full video if you want a more thorough description and deeper look into the whole process.
You got it off!
Filter here is getting replaced. Now this, you can really see, let me see if I can get the best angle for you here. This is super clogged, so you can see all the gunk that's in there and causing that to maybe not let fuel pass as it should. So I got a brand new filter. That's the old crusty one. Brand new one looks like that. Beautiful, clean. I think it should help a ton for that fuel flow. So when I had this all apart, I figured it would be a good idea to change all the fuel lines too, since they were pretty old and crusty. So now we have a fully updated and clean fuel system. Installing everything was pretty straightforward, just the reverse of how I took everything apart. Alright, so now there's a torque sequence we're going to do, basically from right to left and up and down, that will cause this to seal on the right way. The first one is this one. Get this one. Should be good to go on to the next step. Last thing we have to connect is this one hose here. Once we get the gas tank in, we'll be able to pressurize the system, check for any leaks, and then go ahead and try to fire her up, I guess. Alright, fuel hose going on. I thought I'd finally fix this boat, but then it wouldn't start at all. Bummer. Well, let me see, I'll keep trying this, see what happens. Almost wanted to fire there. Then I noticed something that I probably should have changed from the beginning when I was doing all of the fuel lines. I found a small fuel leak between the fuel tank where it connects to the fuel water separator.
So I'm a bit at a loss for what's going on here. Oh, you know what? I see that we got some fuel leaking right here. Something's not sealed up right. Well, let me look into that. Definitely should have just replaced all this as well when I redid the whole fuel system. But you live and learn, I guess. At least it will be completely upgraded now. All right, well, I went to test fit the hose onto my fitting down here, this fitting right here, and I realized that the fitting is definitely the wrong size. It slides in there way too easy. There's no restriction. This is a fitting for a 5/16 hose, and this is 3/8 hose. And the weird thing is, the old fuel line was also 3/8 hose, and they were using these old fittings, which could probably be a big reason why there was some leak happening out of here. And one of the things I noticed when I took this off is the previous owner had wrapped these barbs here with Teflon tape, which is definitely not the way to do this. All right, so I got those new fittings on. Now this should be a pretty snug fit going on here. Yeah, much better. We got our gas tank going in. Gonna take our new line, plug it in here. Perfect. You want to open up that vent. All right, moment of truth. If this thing fires up right now, we'll know exactly what the problem was. Let's do it. We got our water on. Gonna get the battery turned on. Check that primer bulb real quick. Still nice and firm. Just gonna give it one prime. See what happens. Nothing, so I'll go through the series and give it the 4 or 5 primes like we've been doing to get a successful start. Prime, start. There we go. Woo! Well, I was feeling pretty good at this point. The boat still needed to be primed 4 to 5 times to start, but it would start reliably and strong every time. No more cold start issues and needing carb cleaner to get it started. I thought I had fixed all of our issues and this vessel was ready to be a water-ready, reliable vessel. And then our next problem surfaced. Today's the day. We're getting ready to take this out for what we're calling Maiden Voyage 2.0. Finally, I think we've solved this cold start issue we have with our Johnson 60 horsepower EFI outboard. So wish us luck. Here we go. We'll meet you down at the boat ramp. So we're out on the water. We made it for our Maiden Voyage 2.0. Dropped the boat in the water just now, and she fired right up just as she should. So we're just cruising through a little no wake zone here. Not sure where we're headed. We don't have a ton of time today, so we're just gonna cruise a little bit, see how this motor works. All right, let's give her some throttle. Get over this wake here. Yeah, what I was afraid of. I think we're limiting out. I think there's some kind of limp mode or safe mode. No matter how much throttle I give it, it only goes up a certain amount. So, always learning something new with this boat. The walk of shame back to the truck after the boat doesn't work. Bummer, dude. When we were pulling out of the water, we also noticed the front bunk of our trailer was hanging on by one bolt. Needs to be replaced. Let me flip you around and show you what we're looking at. I got it strapped on there right now, as you can see. That board is just old, split. I've been wanting to redo the bunks on this trailer. You can see the rust too that's on that bolt. It's just been corroded. And the other bunks down here, they're similar. They're still hanging on, but those need to be replaced for sure. So So suspecting that our limp mode problem was caused by some kind of overheating issue, I decided to dive into the cooling system, digging into the thermostat and the water pressure valve, aka poppet valve. What we're dealing with. So a couple of 10 mils on top. Let's hope for a super easy removal. Seems like that's moving pretty good. First one, second one, nice easy. And that's when I found something I was not expecting. All right, well, kind of see in here what we're looking at. And then in here, well, folks, I don't even see a thermostat at all. What the heck? All right, well, that's crazy. There was no thermostat at all. I was shocked. Then it was time to move on to the water pressure valve. This one was a little more stubborn to get off, but we got it off eventually. I had to remove the electronic parts holder as well in order to get the last bolt on the water pressure valve casing. All right, well, after battling probably about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we've got the cover off here and exposed the water pressure valve. See if we can't get it out of there. Just like that. Well, that's definitely not it. Are you kidding me? No water pressure valve either? No wonder this outboard was having so many problems. Fortunately, we'll try to get this seated on the right place here. New water pressure valve, new gasket sealant, and now we're ready to move on to the next thing. We'll get these in there. So bottom stop goes in first. You probably can't really see this too well. Let me grab you off the tripod. So our bottom stop will go in, and then our thermostat will go in there. And then our top stop will go there. And we get our gasket and our cover on that. And then I'll get my third bolt before we tighten these down. Get this all squared away. The one long bolt here in the housing. All right, let's tighten those down and hook up this hose. All right, those are snug. Get my pliers handy, and we can get this hose put back on here. Beautiful. Possibly the biggest issue I found through all of this was probably the wiring. And I have one other kind of pretty interesting thing to show you guys that I found along the way here. Kind of shocked and surprised at what I found. But anyway, let's get to it. Electronic control box housing that holds the ECU and a lot of this wiring. I had to remove that in order to access a bolt that was back in here. And in doing that, I found something that was kind of peculiar. This plug here that's sitting in this little clip isn't plugged into anything. And when I started this journey, I really knew nothing about outboards at all. Just kind of been learning as I go. And so I just assumed that this was maybe some kind of diagnostic plug that was sitting up here because it was in this little clip kind of out of the way. But that is not the case. Upon further investigation, that is actually supposed to be plugged into something. I want to show you what's going on back here. So when I removed the cover here that holds the ECU and all this stuff, I was able to see and locate the cylinder temp sensor, which is right here. And to my surprise, it wasn't plugged into anything. So that was unplugged, no temp sensor going into the ECU, which could potentially be some of the reasons why I'm experiencing these cold start issues. And then I was like, well, I don't know anything that's going on in here, really. So I came over and I printed out the
wiring diagram from the shop manual, and I was able to find the cylinder temp sensor, and you can trace kind of what wires that go into and where it goes to the ECU. And the wires that it go into, it's a light green with a white stripe and a black with a white stripe. So I came back over and was looking around, and I found that connection's right here, light green with white and black with white, but it's already plugged into something else. And I was like, okay, that's strange. So I traced that wire, and it goes all the way back up here to this, which is the CMP sensor right here. And then I was able to trace that back to see what wires that plug into, which is red and black and white. And then lo and behold, this cord here that I thought was not essential or for a diagnostic or whatever, actually is for the CMP sensor. Either they plugged it in wrong, or maybe they did this to avoid some kind of issue that was going on. I don't really know. So we're about to find out once we get this all hooked back together the right way. The cylinder temp sensor and camshaft position sensor wiring was completely wrong. So the ECU was getting temperature data from the camshaft position sensor and wasn't receiving any info about the actual camshaft position. And once I fixed that, that's when things really started to change. We'll see what happens. Everything's buttoned back up. I got to get these side panels on and get some water on it, and let's see what she does. All right, we got some water on. Got to get our battery turned on here. And I'm just going to give it one prime, like should be normal, and we'll see what happens. Oh my goodness. Fired right up first try. That's amazing. Woo! I am kind of shocked right now. Peeing real good. We'll check our water temperature as we get going. That pee stream is definitely way stronger. I mean, all thanks to that water pressure valve, I assume. Gonna check in here for any kind of water leaks as it kind of runs for a bit. But man, I am stoked. I'm stoked. I don't know if that was the issue all along. Maybe that wiring thing was the cold start issue. I think it could definitely be a huge role. I don't regret doing any of the fuel system work I did because that was needed too upon kind of getting in there and seeing the status of it. But man, that was the best startup ever that I've had on this boat. That first cold start after fixing the wiring was by far the best start that this boat has ever seen since I've owned it. I was stoked and excited and honestly proud of the work that I've accomplished so far on this boat. Man, I feel great. I feel like we've accomplished something here. I've learned so much in this process. I just gotta say, I got into this with knowing absolutely nothing about outboards. And if you are interested in kind of boat life, I just gotta say, just go for it. Find yourself maybe a fairly inexpensive boat that's gonna need a little bit of work. Learn how to tinker on it, learn how to work on it. All I did was use YouTube and Google a bunch and downloaded a shop manual for it. So I have all the instructions of how to replace things, how things work, and just study it, learn it. Trial and error, really just try to work on things, and man, I'm stoked. Now, I would never consider myself a mechanic, but the more I learn and the more fixes I do on this boat, it really boosts my confidence and makes me excited to learn more in the future. Well, as we discovered earlier, this boat trailer really needed some love. It was time for new bunks and hardware for this trailer. So that was our next project. I went into this project thinking it would be pretty simple and straightforward. You'd think I know by now that even the simplest of jobs can be complicated and cause issues when you've never done them before. It seems like I'm always underestimating the time it will take to complete these projects. Checking back in, we got our 2 bunks made for the main bunks, and I got our little front bunk that we have on this trailer as well.
tight, straight, good to go. Moving on to the next. So now we have all of our brackets ready to go, assembled. All we got to do is drop the boat in the water and assemble all this stuff on the trailer, and we should be good as new.
All right, we're at the boat ramp. We are gonna drop the boat in the water, and then we're gonna work on the trailer. Hopefully that's fine with them. We looked at the rules, so we didn't see anything about not being allowed to work on the trailer. And then hopefully I'll get my toes in the sand, okay? There he is, working on the boat. Well, here we are. We're gonna work on this trailer here. You can see the bunks are in tip-top shape right now. This is gonna be our before.
First piece we got off.
Yeah,
Without elbow grease.
So you think we should do the back ones or wait for the storm?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And there's the storm still coming in.
I don't want to get caught out here in some nasty weather, and we still got to get our boat out of the water, so better safe than sorry. We're gonna go pull the boat out, get back home. And the storm is here. This is why we didn't finish the boat trailer out there by the water. The rain is pouring, coming down, some thunder. Pretty wild stuff. Definitely pouring. Not something I want to be out working in. Yikes! At least the bilge pump works. That's good. My goodness. It is really coming down. Bilge pump activated. Holy moly.
All right, we're back. Putting the boat back in the water. And there's no storm clouds. Maybe that one. But nothing crazy. So, see if we can get this trailer fixed actually today. But it is so beautiful out here. It's a great day. And if we are able to fix this trailer, we're going to go on a little boat cruise. That was the deal.
Alright guys, well we got the trailer finished. We didn't film all of it because we were dying out here, it's hot. But I did have to do one trip to Ace, get some more spacers and washers to make those bolts happen. But other than that, we got it done. I'm dying now, so let me show you the trailer real quick and we're gonna go jump in the water, I think. So much better than before. We got the nice new bunks, everything looks good to go. Anxious to see how the boat sits on there. It should be about the same. We measured everything and got it all good. So big improvement for sure. I'm stoked about it. So at this point, I spent 5 months dealing with problem after problem after problem with this boat. And honestly, it's been quite a process. But I've learned so much over this last 5 months. And while I don't think I would trade the experience and knowledge that I've gained, if I would have known then what I know now about this boat, I probably wouldn't have bought it in the first place. But the good news is I've learned a ton, and we have a good, solid, reliable boat now. So it's a win-win, I guess. I'm stoked that we have a reliable working boat now and can get out on the water and enjoy God's beautiful creation here in Southwest Florida. We're blessed to be here and to get to enjoy such a beautiful place like this. I've got so much more in store for this boat too. Lots of little upgrades that you'll have to stay tuned for in the next couple videos to learn more about. One of the really big upgrades I want to do on this boat is to redo the flooring, grinding and sanding down the interior and re-gel coating the whole thing, and building a front deck and fiberglassing and gel coating that as well. I want to make this thing a fishing vessel that can go out to the sandbars, go fishing, cruising, just ready for all. So hopefully you'll subscribe and stay tuned for that. You'll be able to watch me take on yet another project that I've never done before, and maybe you can learn from my mistakes so you won't have to make them. If you've been following along this whole journey, I truly appreciate it. To everyone who's watched the videos, subscribed, and commented on these, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much. And if you're new here, this is just getting started. So hit that subscribe button, throw a comment down below. I'd love to hear from all of you. So anyway, till next time, Love you guys. Peace.